Hey guys, I'm Crystal,
And I'm Ken, and this is Beyond the Satchel.
where we deliver more than just the mail.
Beyond the satchel, beyond the job, I'm done with my rounds. Now I'm heading for the battlegrounds. Beyond the satchel, let's take our stand. Scream our battle cry, and echo it across the land.
Hey, welcome back, guys. This is Beyond the Satchel, and we have two new guests on for tonight. We're gonna go ahead and let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Of course, you guys already know me and Crystal. So, how about we go ahead and start?
Hi, good. Hello, everyone. I'm Margaret Parker. I am the Regional Grievance Assistant for Region 3 here in Illinois. I got it. What else do you want me to say?
Keep going. Whatever you the OG original Region 3. So
Well, I work in the Region 3 office here with Michael Cariff and Tony Hudson and Bill Jackson. We're going to be talking about workman's compensation tonight, and I am the person that you're going to reach out to initially to get started on your workman's comp claim when you need some assistance. So we'll talk about what you need to do and how you need to get started on that claim and what information you're going to need to work on that claim.
all right.
All right.
Let's go ahead down to the next person.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm Samantha Hartwig. I am your Regional Workers' Compensation Assistant. There are several of us throughout the country, and we're divided up by different regions. So I actually represent and assist with workers' comp with Region 3, 5, and 7. And I actually work out of Region 7, out of the Minneapolis office for the Region 7 Business Agents Office. I've been in the post office. This is my 23rd year with the Postal Service. And I was president of Branch 9 Minneapolis before I became the Regional Workers' Compensation Assistant in 2022. And if Margaret has something that's a little more difficult to handle, like an appeal or a very detailed, complicated work comp case, she'll reach out to me with members from Region 3 needing assistance. She'll give me a little background of the case file, what's going on, contact information, and then I'll reach out to our injured member and get more details about what's going on and see if I can help them. And sometimes when I'm helping our members in Region 3, I'll find out that I think somebody needs to file a grievance. And if I think there's a grievance regarding the Postal Service not living up to their obligations for processing workers' comp, I'll reach back out to Margaret and be like, hey, Margaret, I think we have a grievance here. And then Margaret and I will talk about it, and Margaret will do what she does, either reach out to the local that represents our member or she'll handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, seem like you guys have multiple regions, right, Margaret, that you represent too?
Well, no, I'm just in Region 3 now. I gave up Region 7 a couple of years ago, and then last year I gave up Region 5. I hired other RGAs for those regions.
Okay.
So I am focused completely in Illinois now, which keeps me very busy. So, so, I'm just in Region 3 now, and that's why I try to assist Sam as much as I can, because workman's comp, as you guys all know, with our jobs, workman's comp is a big issue. And many people, as much as we try to reach out and assist them all, still don't understand that the NALC offers these resources to them when they become injured, and that we are able to help them get their claim accepted. They have to do some of the legwork too. We're limited on what we can do with that, but much of the legwork we can do as far as the technical stuff, we can get them through. And more times than not, we can get their case accepted. So getting the word out that the NALC has those resources is extremely important to Sam and I.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what Margaret's saying about legwork is basically, hey, go to your doctor. They can't go to the doctor for you. Go to the doctor, get the paperwork that you necessarily need to get back to them, and they can guide you in the right steps of uploading it and whether it's correct or incorrect, or whether it needs more details.
Well,
Which
since you mentioned that, I'm going to actually pop up here a little checklist. I think that's the
see,
right one.
Crystal's always cutting me off in the middle of when I'm talking.
Oh
But
my
you know,
goodness. Well, you know what? If I didn't cut you off, you would just keep on going and going.
you know what? You're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh,
this checklist here is one that Sam had put together. She's been using it. I don't know how long now. She's been using it for us, and I routinely give this out to people that contact me that are thinking about starting their work comp claim, or they've become injured and they're not really sure what steps to take. And I send this checklist to them along with the documents that they need to get started on their claim, things that they need to take to their doctor, such as the CA-17 and the CA-20. Oftentimes, the Postal Service barely gives them a CA-17 and never gives them a CA-20. I don't think that they know what a CA-20 is. But we can cut off some of that time that the Department of Labor needs to get their case established by understanding the diagnosis of what their injury is. And that CA-20 has a place for that doctor to put that diagnosis on there, which really puts us ahead of the game in many cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then this CA1 checklist that you have up right now. So I've been using this basically forever, my entire time in the Postal Service. It's something that as things change with OWCP in the process, I update it as needed. And I've been a big believer, even if you're dealing with a grievance, workers' comp, it's nice to have a checklist, something you can look at to make sure you have everything you need. And you can just kind of go through and write things in and keep it. It's your basic notes just to get you started, especially to get your supervisor or your manager or your postmaster's email address. Everything is electronic, almost everything, with OWCP, the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs. So if you're not very good at technology, you're going to have to learn. And I do walk people through how to set up an eComp account. I even walk them through eComp, how to find a document, how to pull it up and look at it. I've taught numerous people how to email me things from their case files so I could look at that and help them out. But I feel it's really important just to start at the beginning, write down whoever you report your injury to and report it right away. It makes it a lot easier to report it right away, especially now. The Federal Employees Compensation Act, some recent changes just happened April 24th of this year. It's called FECA Transmittal 26-2. And you can look that up. You can Google FECA Transmittal 26-2 and read it yourself. But now when our when our members get injured, they're referred to as a claimant with OWCP. And you should always write a statement for OWCP about what happened, how you got hurt. But now with this new FECA transmittal that just came out, OWCP is giving weight of a statement to the Postal Service. If the Postal Service writes a statement and says, we don't agree with how this injury happened, we don't think you should accept the claim, we think they're wrong, they're now giving the weight of that statement to the Postal Service instead of the claimant under this new change. And that's a disservice to our members, even though there's ways, we have ideas on how to challenge that if we have to. There's numerous, it's called the ECAB, ECAB, stands for the Employees Compensation Appeals Board. So that's like going to arbitration for our grievance procedure, except the ECAB sets precedents for OWCP. So there's numerous ECAB precedents that said a claimant's statement is worth a lot of weight. And so we want to make sure that we're helping our members not only write their statements, but if we have to challenge something, I can go look up something to cite in the ECAB and we can try to challenge that, help our members out a little bit more. So it's really important if you get injured, report it right away, even something as simple as a paper cut. A paper cut can lead to an infection just as easily. And we've had members, I had somebody who stepped on a nail. and had to have a toe amputated because of the infection. Yeah. But they didn't report it right away, and we had to fight, and we had problems with the case. We had some other issues. And then we had a hard time finding a doctor to help them out, which was the biggest hurdle we had in that particular case. But write down your supervisor's email address, the date you report it, because this is going to be important if we want to challenge their statement. I hate to say it, but Postal Service management, they're not very truthful about the facts.
Oh, that's being very kind there. I was just going to say they flat out lie most of the time.
Right.
I could. I thought about it, but I thought, well, we'll try and be a little nicer right now.
So, well, that's too nice. So, Samantha, I got a question for you. So,
yeah,
maybe you and Margaret can answer it. Me and Crystal know the answer, but for the listeners out there, you said the email of the supervisor. What if my supervisor tell me, hey, I'm not giving you my email. You're not emailing me anything.
Well, they can reach out to me at that point. I can get their email address, or more often than not, we send it right to the injury compensation department, who will then forward that CA1 to the supervisor from that particular office, or the person in charge of the workman's comp for that particular office. If I could just back up for a minute, Sam talked about reporting it right away. As we often know, we get out there, we fall, we trip, we twist our ankle, and we always think we're going to be fine because we're able to finish our route for the day. So we don't think twice about it, right? We're out there working, and we just don't think twice about it because that happens all the time. But we don't report it because we're good. We go home, we're fine. But sometime during the night or that next day when we wake up, that ankle's now swollen beyond belief and we can't even move. You have to make sure that at that point you report it. Sometimes, you don't think it's necessary, but when that happens, you have to report it and make sure that you can document when it happened and where you were when it happened. There's a couple things that they need to be aware of, not only reporting it and that date, time, and place, but if they're going to go to the doctor, if they're going to file that claim, they have to get that medical into eComp, into their supervisor within 10 days to make sure that they're going to be able to get the continuation of pay. Because if they fill out that CA1 that next day, and of course that same day, they got the 3-day waiting period that we still have, so they're not going to get their COP those first 3 days anyway. But in order to keep that continuation of pay going, that medical has to be in within 10 days. And if they don't file that CA1, I've had many people that say, oh, I just thought it was going to get better, and now we're at day 40 and it's still not better. They're not going to be entitled to that continuation of pay because it's been past the 30 days of the injury. So those are things that people need to keep in mind. And as Sam says, it's just better off to report it immediately. That way, even if nothing happens, you get up the next day and you're fine. Great. You don't have to worry about it. But if the other happens, that you're so swollen you can't even walk, we're already ahead of the game for that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. And additionally, I've heard some carriers tell me that when they initially got hurt and they report the accident and they say, well, I'm not going to go to the doctor tonight because I think, maybe I'll be fine tomorrow. Then management sometimes in some places has said, well, here's this statement saying you're refusing medical treatment. Don't sign that. Do not sign that. Whatever that is, don't trust management. If you're not going to go to the doctor, that's your decision. That's your decision. But do not sign something from management that says you're refusing medical treatment. Just don't do that. That's a bad habit to get into. And they shouldn't be doing that.
Right. What if you write a statement and say, I'm not going to go to the doctor tonight, but I want to see how my body reacts and I'll let them know tomorrow. Is that a good thing for them to do?
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't sign anything that says I'm not seeking medical treatment, because then management's going to turn around and try to say you refuse medical treatment. You shouldn't be filing a work comp claim. That's wrong on so many levels. Because in the Employee Labor Relations Manual, Section 540 deals with all things workers' comp. It actually says in there, nobody can force you to waive your right to filing a workers' compensation claim. And I feel when management does that, it's like a form of intimidation to try to prevent you from going to do it. Management will be like, hey, remember this form you signed that said you're refusing medical treatment? What are you doing? I can see management using that against our members, and I have a big problem with that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
oftentimes, people will fill out a CA1 even if they don't go to the doctor, just to document that injury. That includes the date, time, place that it happened, what occurred when that took place. And there's on the second page on the supervisor's side of that report, there's a place for them to mark that you didn't seek treatment at that time. And because it doesn't say you're never going to seek treatment, it's just that you're not seeking treatment at that time. So, just a random statement maybe needs to be handled in the form of a CA1 instead of just a random statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and additionally, with a traumatic injury claim, moving on, you have the right to see the physician of your choice. So you have to file a CA1 under a traumatic injury claim. This is what we're talking about right now. And once you file that traumatic injury claim, management will get the email. They have to fill out page 2. While management fills out page 2 of your CA1, they have the ability at that time to print out what's called a CA16 form. Now, under the language in the handbooks and manuals, and it's called the 20 Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 10. That's one of the implementing regulations of the Federal Employee Compensation Act. Management is required to provide you that CA16 in a traumatic injury claim within 4 hours of the traumatic injury or within 48 hours of management giving you verbal permission to see the physician of your choice.
So that's something like a blank check, right?
It is absolutely a blank check. And the reason we say that is because that CA16 will guarantee payment of all your medical expenses for the first 60 days, even if OWCP denies your claim. So especially for some of our newer members who maybe have a couple years in with the Postal Service or they're in their probation, they don't have a lot of time built up. They may or may not have health insurance. Sometimes the Postal Service, we have issues sometimes getting our members signed up with health insurance, and they may not have it when they get injured. Especially, I had a carrier get injured on their shadow day, and we had to help them out. And so that CA16 is super critical to make sure they're getting that right away. Now, management likes to say, we don't know what that is, or I've been told
I don't have access to that,
or the form is basically obsolete, which it's not. They can reach out to the occupational health department and get that CA16, because the occupational health department has the ability to also get the CA16. And so they need to ask questions. And that's the other issue I have, is when management doesn't even pick up the phone and ask a question on what they should do. They just say, well, I don't know what to do. Talk to the supervisor Monday when he comes in, the other guy. I don't know what I'm doing. That's not right, and that's not acceptable for our members.
Yeah, that's a big issue that I've heard about, is just management just doesn't know what to do, or they just don't care to look into what they need to do.
Yeah, and it's kind of a combination of both, and that's where we want to make sure we are consistently filing grievances against management when they don't provide that CA16 form. We have to make sure that that's happening, that we're training management, that we're teaching them. And Margaret deals with that quite a bit.
Yeah, and even if they have the CA16, sometimes they don't really know what they're supposed to do with it. They have to complete the front and sign it for it to be valid. And they think, okay, I gave you the CA16, but it's not useful in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we talked about the traumatic injury. I have a question for you about the occupational injury. Do you want to maybe bring that up just a little bit and talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah. So an occupational injury is one that occurs over time. We'll kind of figure it out as we go, I figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an occupational injury is different. It occurs over time. So we're usually talking plantar fasciitis, tendinitis, something along those lines. Carpal tunnel is a big one. So those are occupational, and our job over time can cause these injuries to develop. And a CA2 is different. There's no CA16. There's no continuation of pay. So under a CA2 claim, OWCP will not pay anything out until the claim is accepted. That means your medical bills will not get paid by OWCP, and you will not be able to get wage loss compensation paid by the Postal Service or by OWCP. If you're injured, you have to wait till your claim is accepted. So what you need to do is have a conversation with your doctor. Doctor, my wrist has been bugging me. It hurts, kind of my hand goes numb when I'm pinching and grasping and I'm having some problems. Do you think it's work related? If the doctor says, yeah, I think you have carpal tunnel and your job caused it, and I'm just using this as an example, then you need to sit down and actually write a statement, a detailed statement about what your job is as a letter carrier. How much time are you spending grabbing the mail, pinching it, twisting your wrist, reaching out, extending your arm out from your body to sort the mail or to deliver the mail? So we want to know how many hours a day you're doing that activity, how many days a week, and for how many years have you done it? Have you been doing it for 5 years, or have you been doing it for 35 years? How many years have you been doing it? I do help carriers write their work statement about their job. Some people, I know, once you graduate high school, if you don't do a lot of writing, if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. So a lot of times I have carriers that are like, well, I'm really not very good at writing, and I don't have Microsoft Word, and I don't know what to do. Well, you have email. Almost everybody has an email address nowadays. So I just tell them, I said, tell you what, shoot me an email just in the body of the email. Tell me what you do as a letter carrier, your job, and I tell them what to put in there. And then I'll take their statement when they send it to me, and I'll copy, paste it, put it in a Word document, and I do edit it for them. Or if it's a more complicated case, I'll talk to them over the phone and we'll tweak their statement together. And then I send them their statement. Do they like it? We sign it. That statement that you write about your job is so important.
Absolutely.
You're going to share that with your doctor, because your doctor has to understand how you do your job and what you do and how long you've been doing it for. If the doctor gets it wrong on what you do as a letter carrier, if the doctor's statement differs from what you say, that's going to cast doubt on your case if it's work related. And we're going to have to try and fix it and straighten it out. And it's going to delay you getting compensation or medical bills paid during that time. So if you need help writing that statement, reach out. And there's other people in Region 3 that have a little bit of experience with OWCP also. So the more people that know how to do this, that can help each other, it's only going to make us better and help our members and make everybody stronger to do this. So writing your statement is the first step in an occupational claim.
So
And then
I will also say
Yeah.
that when people contact me, part of what I send to them is an example of a statement that we want to have written for the Department of Labor, and it talks all about what Sam has said there. The example talks about how long I've been doing the job, what my job consists of, when it starts bothering me, do I ever get any relief from it? That's all part of an example that I send to them. And if they follow that template, it will certainly help them if they're uncertain on how to write it, but it will also give them some guidance as to what the Department of Labor is looking for in that statement, and ultimately will be help it decide the factor of, is this work related or not?
Right.
So that CA2 occupational checklist, that's helpful too. And there's a couple on there. There's a couple points of information for a medical narrative that we need from the doctor. And
Is
with
that
all
the
work
CA2
comp
that
claims,
you got
you have
up
to
there?
see.
Is that Is that one of the CA2s? Crystal, you got that? Could you share it?
I got here's the CA2 checklist.
Yeah.
And then for the listeners, if you're listening through podcasts, through Spotify, Apple Music, you'll have to go on YouTube to visually see it. It's good information, like you're saying, step by step on what you should do. It'll help out. And before you get into that, Sam, I got a question. You did mention that dang, my notes are getting sloppy over here. You mentioned that if your claim is not accepted or approved and you're going to the doctor, so if, for example, for example, I'm going to the doctor and I let my doctor know, like, hey, this is what happened. I think it's due to my job that I'm doing at work, and I have to use my own insurance. And let's just say they send me a bill saying, hey, you owe $100. Your medical insurance covered this, but you still owe $100. And if I pay that $100 and OWCP eventually approve my claim, do I get reimbursed for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, you would have to submit your request for reimbursement to OWCP for any medical expenses you pay out of pocket. But that happens after your claim is accepted. And so you would have to print out, it's called a 915 form, to reimburse for medical expenses. And you could mail that in to OWCP with your claim number on every page. I would send it by tracking when you mail it in. Keep track of it. Don't send in your only copy because sometimes things disappear. But yes, anything you pay out of pocket, you can request reimbursement. Okay. You have to show the bill. You have to show you paid the bill. So whether it's a credit card statement or canceled check. I know some people don't have checking accounts anymore. So you just have to show proof that you paid the bill.
But also when the CA2 when the claim does get accepted by the Department of Labor, just as the CA1, they come with several pages of information for the individual that gets that accepted claim, what to do about your pay, what to do about bills, what to do about medication. There will be 6 to 8 pages of instruction that come along with that accepted claim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And actually read it.
Yeah,
there's some
actually
good information in there.
some good reading that needs to be done, that's for sure.
Yes.
And look, if you don't understand it and you're just confused by it, that's what we're here for. We're here to help that out.
Yeah.
Before we do continue on, how long are y'all good for?
However long. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have anything going on tonight, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I want to make sure we hit the bill. But if you guys were running late on time,
Absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Nope.
All right, cool.
You're good. I think something else that people get confused about with the Ken, you mentioned your bills, but also with the use of your leave. People get very confused about how that happens because they think, okay, great, I've been off for 3 months now. My CA2 took that long to get approved, and I've been using my sick leave. I've been using my annual leave because I ran out of sick leave. How do I get that back? People get very confused by that. Sam, do you want to explain to them how that process works?
Yeah, thanks, Margaret. So after the work comp claim is approved, and this is true in a CA2 claim and in a CA1 after the continuation of pay period has ended, you could do a leave buyback for sick leave and annual leave, or one or the other, after the date your claim is accepted. So once your claim is accepted, any leave you used prior to date of acceptance, you can buy that back. You'd have to file a CA7 and a CA7A time analysis form. My advice, and I strongly encourage everybody to do this, that's going to do the CA7 and the CA7A, is get your employee everything report, also known as your clock rings, from the Postal Service, from your supervisor. It's going to make it so much easier to know exactly on what dates what type of ring is rung when you're doing that leave buyback, or to fill it out. I have seen management, and I don't know why they do this. One day they'll charge like 2 days of sick leave, then they'll use a day at annual, and then they'll throw in an LWOP in there, and then maybe more annual. And it shouldn't be like that. It makes it more difficult and complicated. And it's a pain in everybody's butt when they do that.
Absolutely.
But that's why that employee everything report is critical, because you'll have an accurate CA7A time analysis form completed. Accuracy is key, because I've noticed with the occupational health department, and this is true for all of them, not just in Region 3, but I've seen this in Region 5 and Region 7. I see it everywhere. If you don't have that CA7A form, they don't tell you you need it. If you need it, they don't tell you you need it. They tell your OWCP claim examiner, well, we can't do anything because they didn't do a CA7A form. But they don't tell you, the injured person, that you still need this additional form. They don't send you a letter. You don't find out until 2 or 3 months later when you're sitting there not getting a paycheck, wondering what's going on.
And that happens all the time. I just had someone contact me this last week who said, I just don't know what's going on. I'm not getting paid. And it says I'm supposed to get paid. And when we go in and look at their case file, there's notes on there from the occupational health person, whoever their person is, that says form was not completed correctly. And that's it. It said nothing more. So we had to go in and we had to get them completed correctly so they could get paid. But Sam's absolutely correct. They don't advise you. I saw one once where somebody had mixed up the pay periods. They had put in the second week of one pay period and the first week of the next pay period. And the occupational health person submitted it to the Department of Labor that way, but never told them that they missed 2 weeks, the first week and the last week. And they're not there to help us. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be there for. But unfortunately, they're not there to help us. If you don't ask us or figure it out on your own, you're just going to be suffering through this without any pay.
Mm-hmm. And some other things, and then with your leave buyback, since we're talking leave buyback, before I change it a little bit on everybody. So with the leave buyback, you'll do your CA7, your CA7A. Then the Postal Service is supposed to send you, the injured person, a CA7B form. That's going to tell you how much it's going to cost you to buy back your leave. And you have to sign it, approve it, send it back. OWCP has to approve the leave buyback. And once that's done, then it's supposed to get sent to the Egan Accounting Service Center here in Egan, Minnesota, to create the invoice so you can actually finish buying back your leave. A lot of times the Postal Service drops the ball and sending that to Egan, and you're sitting there waiting. And if it doesn't get completed before you retire, because this is happening with somebody right now, if you don't get it completed before you retire, you have to be on the rolls of the Postal Service in order to request a leave buyback. So if you retire and you haven't requested a leave buyback, you can't request it in retirement. But if you're on the rolls and you request it and you're waiting for it to come through, and it's been 6-7 months and nothing's happening, I mean, don't even wait that long. But if you're retiring in 2 months, if that doesn't get processed all the way through before you retire, the Postal Service is going to say, you're not on the rolls any longer. You're no longer entitled to that leave buyback that you started before you retired. I have that issue right now with a retiree we're trying to help out. So make sure if it's being delayed, don't be afraid to call and ask for help. Call occupational health. What's the status of my leave buyback? Can you tell me what's going on? If it's not moving, reach out to Margaret. Maybe there's a chance we need to get a grievance going if it's taking too long.
Absolutely.
And then really quick too, can you explain a little bit why you're paying to get that leave bought back? So I know maybe not everyone understands that.
I was sure about this Aztec.
So a lot of times people will pay to get that leave back, especially their annual leave, Because once you get your leave back, now you have annual that you've earned and it will sit there. And once you come back to work, most people are able to return back to work either with restrictions or full duty, depending on what happens. Well, now you have your annual leave back and you have a right to use that annual leave. And the same with the sick leave. The other thing is that the Postal Service has agreed to enter into this leave buyback program. For employers to offer leave buyback is an optional choice. They don't have to be part of the leave buyback program, but the Postal Service is. So the Postal Service has this benefit to you. You can do a leave buyback. They allow it. But when they drop the ball on processing it, it's our members that are suffering by not being able to buy it back for their use later on.
So Crystal, I think maybe what you were alluding to is how you pay it back, why you have to pay back so much to get your leave back.
Right, that as well. Yeah.
What I explain to people when that happens is when you get paid your leave, your sick leave or your annual leave, you're getting paid at 100% of your rate. You know, if you get $30 an hour and you take 40 hours of annual leave, you're getting paid $30 an hour for that 40 hours. But when you're on workers' compensation, if you are a single individual, your rate paid by the Department of Labor is 66 2/3. Or if you have a family, one person or more, you're getting paid at a 75% rate, not 100%, not 100%, right? So when you're buying that leave back, you have to buy back at the 100% rate, okay? And then you will get that leave back to you by paying the Department of Labor paying you back for that time. Or I guess you pay the Postal Service, then the Department of Labor reimburses the Postal Service, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah. I think you said it kind of a little wrong. So what happens? So the part that you're actually paying to buy back is, so OWC pays you either 66 2/3 or 75% of your wages, tax-free. That's what you get paid.
Right.
And the Postal Service has to reimburse OWCP for that. So now you've got the other 25%. So that difference, that's what you're actually buying back to get all your leave credit back, is that difference. So you're not actually buying back 100% of the value of the leave. You're just buying back the difference is what you're going to buy back. And the other thing you'll have to consider, because they'll tell you how much it's going to cost to buy back your leave. If it takes 4 years for your claim to get accepted, because sometimes that happens with claims, which is upsetting, but unfortunately, that is the sad reality of work comp with how slow it is and the bureaucratic red tape doctors have to jump through. You have to also consider there's tax implications for that when you buy it back over multiple years if you're not buying it back in the year you used it. So definitely look into it, because if they send you the information and you realize, I don't think I can afford it, I don't want to buy back the leave, you can cancel it if you want to. You don't have to continue with it if you can't afford it.
What if, say for instance, if you get approved for FMLA and you want to take advantage of like the disability, short-term disability, long-term disability until you return. Well, short-term disability until you return. You're getting paid from the short-term disability too, correct?
You cannot get paid from anybody and get wage loss compensation paid at the same time. It's one or the other.
Okay, so
how that works out.
What if you then if you just say, I don't want wage loss compensation, I'm gonna take advantage of my benefit that I'm paying for my insurance, do I have to deal with that portion and go just use my FMLA for the duration of time that I'm gonna be off work?
Well, the only thing the FMLA leave is going to do is protect you from being disciplined from not being at work. So FMLA is not additional paid leave.
Right.
Yeah. And if you want to use your disability policy to get you through, that's fine. But you can't get paid less wages through disability, plus get less wages through OWCP. You're going to have to declare all that. Now, let's say, I mean, this is kind of an extreme case. If you're already getting paid disability wages for something, let's say off the job that happened to you, and let's say you can only work 2 hours a day, and then you got hurt while doing those 2 hours of work because of the non-work related, now you have a work-related incident. Because that disability policy was paying you before you got hurt, that wouldn't affect anything. It's the fact of having it start after your on-the-job injury. If I explained that well
That's
enough.
when Sam gets involved in this. They called me and I say, you know what? I'm calling Sam. We're going to let her handle this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, OWCP is going to make sure you don't get one more penny than they think you are entitled to.
Right.
Yeah. Which is why now I'm going to really skip ahead, which is why when you're done being on OWCP and when you're at maximum medical improvement, you're as good as you're ever going to get. We want you to go get a schedule award and get an impairment rating. And depending on the degree of impairment, sometimes it's not much, but sometimes it's a lot. You'll get a chunk of change tax-free depending on the level of impairment you have on a body part. And that's something I help a lot of people with, is getting their schedule awards.
Yeah, and I also want people to understand that even if they're retired right now, they're listening to this message here, and they're retired and they didn't know that they could get a scheduled award for an injury. There's no time limits on that. If you've been retired for a couple of years here and say, you know what, I had a knee replacement that was a workman's comp claim and I never got a scheduled award, give us a call. We can direct you on how to go about making that happen, because there is no time frame. But to the flip side of that, as Sam said, you do need to wait until you're back to work full time. You don't want to have one be overridden by the other, because you really will lose out on that schedule award at that point.
Mm-hmm. And then that brings me to my next thought on this. You do not need to hire an attorney to help you with your work comp claim or your schedule award, especially the schedule award. They love helping out with schedule awards because that's where some people, you could get $50,000, $100,000 in a schedule award, depending on the severity of your impairment. All of us RWCAs across the country, the NALC has sent us out to training on how to evaluate schedule awards and impairment ratings. And we can challenge them if we don't agree with what OWCP's doctors say. If the OWCP doctor, the district medical advisor, looks at the impairment rating your doctor gave you, and then they give a completely different, much lower impairment rating, we went to training to learn how to evaluate those things to see if they are applying the proper procedures in the AMA Guide 6th edition, following the books and charts. We can evaluate that and we can challenge it. And sometimes even OWCP, they make mistakes. They'll send you, when you get your impairment rating, they'll send you a letter that tells you how many weeks your schedule award is for. It's going to have a begin date and an end date. And it'll tell you how many weeks and what you're going to get. Sometimes they screw up on that sheet and get that information wrong. And if they don't want to fix it, we'll have to appeal it to get it fixed. But even they make mistakes too. And anytime there's an adverse decision that affects you, there are appeal rights and we can challenge that. But you don't need to hire an attorney. It doesn't cost our members anything to get help with OWCP. We do that as a benefit to all the members in the NALC. So you do have to be a member to get our help with your workers' comp.
Okay.
Absolutely. People will sometimes send their impairment ratings to me, and I'll forward them on to Sam to take a look at it, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. But the attorneys, as Sam said, they benefit from that because they're going to charge you for I'm not sure what they do in the schedule award purpose, because you don't have to really do anything except go to the doctor and get the impairment rating and fill out the paperwork. So it is really a bonus to them if you hire them.
Yeah.
Right. So
And then on talking about like outside organizations or anything, I've always seen these advertisements for like these federal occupational centers that are they quote unquote specialize in federal worker comp cases, getting you approved and all that. What's your opinion on those?
Well, you have to be careful. You have to be careful because there's been several of those places where doctors have committed fraud and actually gone to prison, and our members get blowback from that. And they would get investigated by the OIG, and they could end up going to jail, losing their job because this doctor they found is actually a quack. I don't know how else to say it. So you have to, you have to really, really look into your doctor.
With the last episode we released, we had an issue with Ken and ducking, and you need to check out the last the episode we just released, episode 20, to understand why Ken's cracking up over there. But as soon as you hear it, you'll know.
Oh yeah, I'll have to go listen to that and find out. But yeah, you really have to look into them and verify it and vet them, and really look into it. We don't want any of our members getting caught up in something some doctor's doing wrong. That's not okay.
Stick with the NALC, and we're going to lead you in the right path.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm always trying to build a list of reputable doctors, that MDs, DOs, that will accept federal workers' comp, or especially a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist. Because earlier I talked about that fecal transmittal 26.2 that came out. Anytime any emotional condition that our members experience, they are going to have to see a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist as a qualified physician for that type of a claim. And it's even more difficult to find a physician like that for an emotional claim. So any help I can get with creating a database of reputable doctors that I can suggest for our members would be very helpful. I have a couple doctors that I do have connections with, but it's just a couple, and sometimes they're too far for our members to get to.
And we have some places in Illinois that there are just very few doctors in general. We end up sending people into Iowa sometimes, but it's very difficult sometimes to find a doctor because, as Sam mentioned earlier, there's a lot required of them by the Department of Labor. And not all doctors want to go through all that work.
Yeah,
Right.
I went to when I first started my first injury. I smashed my thumb in the LLV, and I had to get stitches. And I went to the doctor's office, and I went to the emergency room to get patched up, and then I went to a doctor. And when I went in there, he told me, "We don't accept anybody from the post office." I was like, "What?"
Yep.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, He said, "You guys don't pay." I was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I'm new, so I'm like, "Dang, this is a post office. It's all over." So I'm like, "We don't got no money to pay for it." So I ended up booking an appointment with my doctor, and he took care of me. So it is a lot of facilities out there, from what I'm hearing, that don't accept when we come in. It was like, "Oh, you work for the post office? We can't help you," and they turn us away. Is that an issue?
Well, as Sam mentioned, sometimes it takes 4 years to get the case accepted, right? So in that 4-year period, they're not, unless your insurance is paying for it, the doctor's not getting paid during that whole time until your claim gets accepted. So, it's hard for physicians. I mean, we think that, doctors, they make a lot of money, right? But when they're constantly seeing people that are not paying, because their claim's not been accepted, that it gets troubling for them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said something earlier, Sam, I think, or maybe it was Margaret, one of you guys, in order to get help with your OWCP claim, I think was it you said you
Yeah.
have to be a member,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So if you're a non-dues paying member, I suggest you go ahead and sign up, join the
Yeah.
union, because it's a benefit that you need.
Mhm.
Not just
I have had,
inside of the office for your steward to represent you, which we're probably going to represent you anyway, but you get benefits outside of that as well.
Mhm. Yeah. So if it's a grievance, obviously we still have to represent you if you're a non-member if it's a grievance. But you have to be a member of the NALC, of the union, in order to have the union represent you. That's kind of the law. So they have to follow that. And I have actually had non-members sign up, join the union, and they've stayed in. They're still members to this day because of the help they got. And they've stayed in because it's a benefit. Yeah.
Well, that's a big one. You're going to have a really hard time trying to navigate this stuff on your own or even with your
Absolutely.
attorney.
Shoot, I'm
Well,
already having a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
And we
always
barely
learning.
scratched the
Yeah.
scratched the surface here, Ken. So
I know.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
there's
the thing,
so much.
right?
You could go on all day talking about this and that. Like there's so much that goes into this process.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm still learning. I'm always learning. And sometimes
Me
somebody
too.
comes with a question and I don't have a clue. And I'll reach out to Kobe Jones. Anybody that's been around Kobe Jones, he's the assistant to the president of the NALC for workers' compensation. He's kind of like the lead RWCA for lack of a better word. But Kobe is brilliant. I love Kobe. I always
the
every time I
guru.
talk to him, I learn something new every time I talk to him. He's just a wealth of knowledge. And even every now and then, I'm like, hey, Kobe, I have a question. And I'll pose my question, and he'll be like, I don't know the answer. And so it's like, what? Kobe doesn't know the answer? And you're like, oh, we better start digging and figure it out.
This is very complex, because
Yeah.
it's just very complex to deal with so many different entities, within the Department of Labor. And they have levels of people there too that advise them. It's not just your claims examiner that you deal with when you call. So it's not unusual that we all have to reach out for assistance in some level.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And then so for the sake of time, because like I just said, I mean, you could go on for hours or days just because there's
Right.
so many little things. Let's get into the political side of things. Me and Ken love talking about that stuff.
This is probably why I go to sleep.
Well,
I'm sure
you
that's
can't
how
go to
most
sleep
people.
now. Now you got to wake up.
How can you help but talk politics when we're dealing with the Postal Service and
Yeah,
and the NALC? It's politics every step of the way.
exactly. So we have out there we have HR 3170, improving worker compensation access. And this bill, like we talked about it earlier, the numbers on it changed. I can't remember what the number was last year, but now we're dealing with the 119th Congress. Last year was not last year. The past administration was 118th Congress. So every time we turn around, every time there's a new administration or new year, the bill gets reintroduced and the numbers change. Currently, we have a total of 17 representatives that are co-sponsors on this bill, and surprisingly, 10 of them are Republicans and 7 are the Democrats. And this goes to show that anything dealing with the post office, everything should be bipartisan with our bills because we represent Republicans and we represent Democrats, which we all represent. For us on this podcast right now, we represent Postal Blue, so we don't look at the fact that you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. It's what's gonna benefit us as postal workers, what's gonna make it easier for our members to do their job day in and day out. So just would like to ask y'all thoughts on HR 3170. What was it last year?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter anymore because now it's HR 3170. And
Yeah.
then on the Senate side, it says 3296, right? This is a great bill. I really hope that we can get some traction on this bill, because what this is going to do is allow physician assistants, nurse practitioners to start seeing and diagnosing our members with on-the-job injuries, and it would change the Federal Employee Compensation Act for the better for all federal employees, not just letter carriers, but everybody else in the federal government, because there are so many physician assistants out there that are more than willing to accept federal workers' comp and write the reports, but then they get upset when they find out they have to have an MD or a DO countersign their work. And they're very upset about that because that's an insult to them, they feel. I've had some of them yell at me about that. But this would be a huge benefit to all our members. We need to get out there, reach out to all our representatives in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, and ask them to support this bill, sign on to it. It is a bipartisan issue. There should be no reason that nobody signs on to this, because this is a great thing. Heck, even the members of Congress would benefit them if they like tripped down the steps or something going into work. I don't know, throwing it out there. But this would be a huge benefit.
I guess management too.
Yeah, people don't realize that oftentimes when their case comes back denied, they don't understand it. And it's really simply the fact about who signed that paperwork. We would reduce the number of unaccepted claims, I think, by a great deal if those, when you go to that urgent care or you just go to the doctor's office, if they're able to diagnose that and have their signature on there. It saves you another trip to the doctor. It saves the doctor more time reviewing your claim, and it gets the person back to work quicker because they can get treated quicker with everything that they need done when their case gets accepted. So it's really important if you look on there and your member of Congress is not signed on, it is extremely important you give them a phone call, because you never know when you're going to be the person in need of that.
Yeah, and then we letter carriers. For us as letter carriers, our schedule usually is 8 in the morning to some of 7, 8. I'm gonna go 8 to sometimes 8 to 8. If we get hurt at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, guess what? We can't go to make an appointment to go see our doctor because more likely their office is closed. We have to go to an urgent care or ER, and half the time they don't have an MD or what's the other DO? DO on call in the office that time. So it's either I'm not good with the lingo, so it's all of them are doctors to me. So if they can give me a shot, they a doctor.
They give you a shot, they can give you a prescription, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Exactly.
They allow them to work. They allow them to work and treat you. So why is it not acceptable?
Exactly. So, I mean, this bill will change the game for OWCP and everybody that's getting injured, that's going through these issues of, hey, this is not signed by a doctor. His nurse signed it. So we got to go back. So.
Yeah.
And I think that people forget how much influence they have with Congress. If you are starting to make phone calls to your person in Congress and let them know that this is extremely important to you, that you've had maybe an on-the-job injury that wasn't accepted simply because there wasn't a doctor to see you and it's not acceptable, the more phone calls they get like that, we can change their minds and get to sign on to these bills.
Right. And we explained it too, how you can go on to the NALC website and the app and just simply log on there, and there's just super simple. You can click a few buttons and off it goes to your representatives.
Yep, in a matter of seconds you have that message to your representative.
Yeah, and it's
Absolutely.
already pre-typed for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to type anything. Everything's pre-typed. All you're doing is say click, 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 and done.
Hopefully they're reading what they're clicking on, but
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's extremely important for anybody that's been through that. They know the importance of that, and It just makes it better for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
and you've got, as you know, the other carriers, we're all over the place. So that includes a lot of rural areas and rural hospitals and clinics. So they're hurting right now because they cut all that funding. So I
Absolutely.
know it's going to get even harder to find those MDs and DOs if you get injured out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
So that's, another big reason that this is very important and would make a lot of very positive changes in the process.
Well, and even OWCP, there's sometimes, OWCP sends a lot of people to one of their doctors, a second opinion specialist, for review. Sometimes OWCP is going out 100, 200 miles before they can even find a doctor, a second opinion doctor. I mean, they're going to reimburse you for your travel to see that doctor if you're going 200 miles. But yeah, even they're having a hard time finding doctors too. So, and so it's hard for our members. There's a lot of provider deserts out there, and hopefully this bill will get some traction. That's what we would love to see, and make it better and easier for our members to get the help and the care that they need and get it right away and not have to wait.
Exactly. So, well, we at was an hour mark now.
Yeah, we should probably start trying to wrap it up a little bit. But
Yeah, well, I mean,
did you
'cause-
guys have any final words you wanted to leave before we ask our big question?
I think
You
for
asked
me,
your big question.
oh, there's a big
Yeah.
question.
Look, let me lean over to the side so you can read the background.
Well, my little piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask questions, and
Absolutely.
do not believe every word that comes out of management's mouth, because they're not trained. They don't understand workers' comp, and they don't want to. They're not concerned about it. They don't care. So if you need help, you get hurt, follow up with your union steward and find out if management's actually telling you the truth, because they are disingenuous frequently, like all the time.
And I would say, don't be afraid to give us a call at that business agent's office. There's people there all the time that can answer questions or get you to the person that can answer your question. And, you don't have to believe management because we're here to help.
I'm laughing at my son right now. He's practicing playing on the piano. He's getting better.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that.
So, oh man, yeah. Like the guy said, don't be scared to ask the question. Ask the union steward. If you can't get a hold to the union steward, reach out to the region office, whatever region you're in, because at the end of the day, we need the letter carrier help, everybody help, even the general public, if they can get on our side to say, hey, my letter carrier is out here suffering because you guys can't pass this bill. We need you to jump on this bill. At the end of the day, we deliver for them to help them get in office, and we also can, push them out of office sometimes, depending on what the circumstance is.
Yeah.
So
Are you guys okay with me sharing those the checklists and everything for resources?
Absolutely. I bring them with me to every training I do because I think they're helpful. And even if they only help one or two people, it's helped somebody.
it helps somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And as I
don't
mentioned,
know.
I send it out to anybody that asks for help. It gives them a good starting point.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
our big question
Yeah,
is,
then I'll put that in the
go
notes,
ahead, Crystal.
or
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I'll throw it in the notes if I can, or at the very least I will toss it onto our Facebook group page if I can't post it in the notes. Can you hear me okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did I cut out a little bit?
No.
No, you good.
Okay.
I
Wait,
muted you.
okay. Sorry. But yeah, I will put that as a resource. There's also a few Facebook groups that I have found very helpful when I had to do research on my own and kind of became an armchair expert, as they say, when I was dealing with some of my stuff. So it's just another resource you can use Just throwing that out there. But anyways, okay. Wrapping up for real this time. So what do you all do? We can always say beyond the satchel. In your case, I mean beyond, the laptop or briefcase or bag, whatever y'all carry into the office. So
Well,
whenever you
I
are
can
just
say from
trying to
between
relax
them.
at home, kicking back.
Did my thing cut? Can you hear me?
Can hear
Yes.
you.
Hello? Oh,
Yeah.
Crystal, I say
Yeah, I can hear
between
you.
these two ladies right here, they carry the satchel, the bag, a pen, even a doctor's bag probably. So
Everything.
yeah.
Well, we do all that, but outside of this, outside of work, because we can put all that under the qualifications of work, right?
Yeah.
I have a big extended family that I spend a lot of time with. I just got back from a wonderful cruise that I spent with my daughter and my husband and her friend. And traveling is a big part of what I try to do outside of work, because we all need to get away sometimes. But aside from that, just things with my family keeps me busy. My grandkids keep me busy, and enjoying every minute of that I can when I'm not working and helping out the members.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with my family, or I'll invite my family over. I have a couple brothers and their families. One of my favorite things to do is I love to grill. So I'm learning. I bought myself a couple years ago like a really fancy pellet grill. So I'm learning how to do things like brisket, like big things.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're still learning, but we're getting better every time. So I really enjoy doing things like that for my family, cooking, hanging out. My son is 26, so he's kind of hit or miss if he's available or not, depending on what he's got going on. But yeah, a lot of family time, catch up with friends every now and then. Sometimes my mom likes to go play bingo, so I'll take my mom out for bingo, and we'll go do that every now and then. But you do have to have a way to just relax and shut it off and find time for yourself, which is hard because I'm sure you do too, Margaret. I mean, we're sitting here and I'm still getting text message and emails and phone calls while we're on this tonight. And it's sometimes it's hard to shut it off, but you have to find a way.
Yeah, it is hard to shut it off because there's always someone that has a need. And, we just try to make ourselves available the best we can. And sometimes we just have to shut it off and get back to it the next day. But because that's what we're here for, is to take care of people. But sometimes we have to shut it off for the next day.
Yeah. Today I wasn't feeling my head. I got up early this morning and my head was throbbing, and I just said, all right, I'm gonna just stay at home today. And my I woke up, my alarm woke me up, and I hit the phone and I cut it off. I put it on silent, and my wife's like, your phone ain't ringing. And I'm looking at it on the computer. I see the text message or the phone call coming. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna. And she's like, she started walking around clapping. It's like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's hard.
I gotta take a break.
Sometimes you have to, but that's what our jobs are, right? Is to help people. And, everybody's got different needs at different times, and we do the best we can to help people where we can.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep. That's what, part of being in the union, that's part of it, what it is. I mean,
right.
Well,
I appreciate you guys reaching out to us and getting this message out to people. There's so much more to workers' comp than we even touched the surface on right now. But just know that we are always available to help out.
Yes, we're always
After we just
available.
said all that, somebody is always available to help you out, and just give us a call and we will get back with you and help you with what's going on.
Yeah, and even if you have a few branches or a smaller branch, you don't have a lot of resources, and you want some special OWCP training, reach out. We can always do something over Zoom if that works out, especially a lot of these smaller branches that can't send people to trainings. I'm always willing. If somebody wants training, a branch, if you ask for it, we'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Absolutely.
it's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks.
Be satchel. Beyond the job, I'm done with my